Hello sweet book besties, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bri and today for this reading vlog I am going to have my TBR jar, which literally has every single book from my physical TBR in it. I'm going to let that choose what I'm going to read for this next week, and I think I might do it like my read it or unhaul it challenge. I have not done one of those videos in quite a while, but I think it would be fun to do a little read it or unhaul it with my physical TBR jar. I just think it's such a great way to actually like read books on my physical TBR that I might not otherwise gravitate toward. But also if I'm really not gravitating toward it and I don't see myself reading the book, I should just get rid of it. So then that also helps cut down on my physical TBR. So yeah, instead of using a random wheel, I made this little TBR jar a while ago. I want to say like 2-ish months ago. My husband got me this super beautiful, I think it's technically supposed to be a planter, but what I did is I literally have little pieces of paper in there that have the names of the books on my physical TBR in there. So we are going to choose from this. I want to try and get 3 books read from my physical TBR. I'm really manifesting a book from my April TBR because I still have like 6, I think, books on my April TBR that I want to get to. So maybe some of that manifestation magic will come out. Let's see what the first book we may or may not be reading. I might choose to unhaul it, but I did do a pretty big unhaul probably again like 2 months ago. So let's see. I'm trying to grab one, but they're really tiny. Okay, I set the jar down because I could not hold it and also unwrap this at the same time. So let's see. The Lovers. Can you please focus? Thank you. Okay, this is a good one. Let me go grab it. So we did not get a book off of my April TBR, but if I'm remembering correctly, this was like a contender for my April TBR, but this is just also something that I have not really been gravitating toward lately. And not that I don't want to read it at all, it just like has not been like, yes, I need to read this right now. But like I do want to read it, so again, that's kind of why I love this video, like this whole read it or unhaul it, because it really makes me think, do I want to actually read this book or not? And this is one that I want to read. This cover is very cute, but also very spicy. But like, I love the little strawberries on it. And this is book 2 in the, I don't know what this series is called. They're like interconnected standalone fantasy romances. It says Gemma Summers is broke, burnt out, and about 3 weeks from moving back in with her parents. Her career has imploded, her confidence is circling the drain, and the last thing she needs is a run-in with Elder Hawk, the dangerously charming ex who still haunts her dreams and could buy her a new life with just his pocket change. When a magical tarot card sends them spiraling, literally, into another realm and they land in the steampunk-inspired Kingdom of Cups, Gemma is forced to rely on the man who shattered her trust, broke her heart, and somehow still makes her weak in the knees. But survival in the world of Towerfell is anything but simple, especially when she's caught between the ex who wants to own her and a roguish former king who sees through every one of her defenses. With secrets mounting, identities unraveling, and her heart very much on the line, Gemma must decide, will she cling to the version of herself she built in the real world or risk everything to become the woman she was always meant to be? And this sounds good. I just like have not been into romantasy as much, but I will say I read a few dystopian romances recently and they kind of got me in the fantasy mood again. So I'm actually pretty excited for this right now. So yeah, we are going to read this. Thank you, TBR Jar. I'll be back with an update. I am absolutely flying through this book. I'm already about halfway through, and honestly, like, if me and my husband did not have plans tonight to go golfing, I could definitely finish this in like one sitting. I read outside for gosh, probably like an hour and a half, I want to say, and got probably like 120-ish pages into the book, and then I just came inside for a bit and was reading then. And I got to chapter 17, and like I said, that's about halfway through, so I thought I should probably give you a reading update. I obviously love how fast the pacing is, just because I feel like I kind of needed something like that. I kind of needed something a little unserious, I guess is the word that I'll use. Where is my neighbor going with this weed whacker? Okay, if you hear a weed whacker, it is my neighbor edging the lawn. He's now edging my driveway. Do we think he can see me through the window? Just talking to myself? I hope not. I'm gonna be real embarrassed if he does just see me talking to myself. He's right outside the window. I'm so embarrassed, you guys. Okay, I think he's going to the other side of the house now. Anywho's, oh my goodness, this book is about Gemma. She is 30-something years old, probably like early to mid 30s is what I'm guessing. She has had her dream job in New York City after leaving small town South Carolina where she grew up, but now she has gotten fired from her job. She's lost her apartment, so she is moving back home, and she's actually like in her hometown for her friend's wedding that she's in. And while she is back in hometown for this wedding, her ex, which it sounds like it's kind of like a long time, like on again, off again ex. It sounds like they have known each other since childhood, like they grew up together in the small town. Anywho's, she runs into her ex because her ex is also in the wedding. But they end up basically getting sent to like this alternate reality in Towerfell, which is basically like very medievally, like Game of Thrones vibes, and it's kind of scary there, and they want to get back to their real world, but they don't know how to. So Gemma and her ex are now like having to work together, and also they're kind of like rekindling their relationship just because Gemma feels so lost and she feels like she doesn't know what to do with her life, but she feels like she can rely on her ex, and he has a lot of money, okay? So she feels like she can kind of like fall back on being with him and she'll be taken care of. Like, will she be treated the best? No, definitely not. While they're like working together in Towerfell, she's kind of like realizing like, oh shoot, he is kind of an arrogant prick. I don't know if I want to actually like stay with him. This is fun. It's nothing like marvelous. I don't know. I think if it was like more whimsical, it would be fun, but honestly, it's kind of dark and graphic what is happening in Towerfell, this magical realm that they've gotten transported to. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of time for self-reflection because there's not much else to do back in these medieval times. Basically self-reflection and trying not to die. I am enjoying it though. Like, it is such a quick and easy read. It is pretty spicy. There was a spice scene right off the bat in the beginning of the book. I guess not right off the bat, but like a few chapters in, there's a spicy scene, and then like after that there's been more spicy things talked about, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I am having a really fun time with that, honestly. But it's just not like a life-changing book, you know? But we'll see. Maybe by the end I will be absolutely in love with this. All right, I actually ended up reading quite a bit on the golf course yesterday as I was passenger princess riding in the golf cart as my husband played. So I only had about 30 pages to finish up of the book this morning, and it is like a super quick and easy read. It was a really fun time. It's also just like such a mindless read, I guess. Like it does not take much brain power to read this. It is just very simple. And I feel like sometimes it's really important to have just like a simple, easy book as a palate cleanser. So if you hear that, it's hail. So yeah, just ignore that. But yeah, I think it's really important to just have like a palette cleanser read like this that doesn't take much brain power, that isn't like super heavy. I mean, this was kind of dark, to be honest, kind of gory, a lot gorier than I would have thought based on this cover. But again, it is kind of like medieval times almost. So yeah, things were pretty grim and gory back then. But I love a book that makes me feel something so deeply, but also sometimes it's nice to have a book that isn't like that, so it just gives you a little bit of a break. But that being said, I'm definitely ready for a deeper book, one that maybe takes a little bit more thinking, and yeah, just really has me not questioning things per se, but just something that I'm gonna think about a while after reading it. And this is not something like that, but again, it was still like a fun time, and I feel like what I needed right now. So I'm gonna go with a 3-star rating for this. And now let's head out to the TBR jar and see what the next read is gonna be. I am going to just sit us on the ground right here where I keep my TBR jar. I'm nervous. I am manifesting either something from my like 26 books that I want to read in 2026 or something from my April TBR. So let's see if I can manifest that right now. Let's get some magic from the lovers that we just finished, you know, keep that magic going and get something good. Okay, we got another white piece. We have not gotten a blue piece yet, so let's see what this is. The Curse of Soul Waker. Let me go grab that quick. Okay, here it is. This is a fantasy book that has been on my TBR for quite some time. I want to say like a year and a half, maybe longer. This says, Doongray, commander of the undead cursed legion, has led it in a terrorizing and spilling blood throughout the kingdom of Namaval. When Zerael, a powerful young sorcerer, lifts the curse, Doongray and her army must learn to live among the very people they oppressed. But the curse never forgets its servants. While she struggles with her newfound mortality and haunting visions, Stillness, a dark figure from the past, returns. Doongray must prevent him from harnessing the curse, or else she will be cursed again and forced to destroy the people she's learning to love, obliterating the last remnants of her humanity in the process. To save her people and this new world she misunderstands, Doongray and Zerael are commanded to search for new allies in the coming war. This journey throughout Namval will reveal hidden motives and a secret that could unravel both Zerael's country and Doongray's identity. To be honest, I am just like not feeling like reading this. Maybe this was what I was into a year and a half ago when I got the book, but now I'm just like, it just does not sound interesting to me. So you know what that means? We're gonna unhaul it. And that also means that we need to pick a new prompt. So, or not prompt. I don't know why I said prompt. A new book from the TBR jar. Come on. Oh, another white piece. Let's see, let's see. You guys, I did it. I did it. I seriously manifested a book from my April TBR. Holy crap. I'm actually shocked right now. Did you even read what that says? Like, did it focus? That says Buckeye by Patrick Ryan, which I don't remember what prompt chose that book because for April I used TBR jar prompts and I can't remember what prompt I got for that, but that was the book I ultimately picked, so let's go grab it. I'm actually so proud of myself for speaking that into the universe. Like, wow. Thank you, God. Here is Buckeye. This came out a few months ago in December, so that's more than a few months ago at this point, I guess. That's kind of scary. I think this is kind of supposed to be historical fiction with contemporary fiction. I think it follows characters through decades of like living in this small town in Ohio and how these characters are all kind of like linked together somehow. Oh, it also sounds like there's maybe going to be like some magical realism aspect to the book. I'm so excited for this. Like I said, it's hailing. It's kind of a dreary, rainy, stormy day, and then I think it's gonna be like super cold tomorrow. So I feel like this will be a great book to just cozy up with today and tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm so happy we got this out of the TBR jar. That is crazy. Like, what are the odds? Because I only had 6 books remaining on my April TBR. So I have, let's say, 130 books on my physical TBR. What are the odds that we got one of the 6 books from my April TBR? Seriously, what are the odds? I'm not gonna do that math right now. Nope, nope. Listen, here's some Brianna lore. I was a finance major in college. Like, I have a finance degree. I've done enough math for my life, okay? Yeah, I don't really want to do that math right now. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. I think that this is definitely going to be a book that makes me feel, that is very thought-provoking, that maybe just has me like sitting and staring at the wall after I finish it. I don't know, I hope so. Let's get this started. Alright, so I am about halfway through Buckeye. I feel like there was just nothing really to tell you. I feel like there's still not a lot to say because we are basically just following like 4 different characters and really just like setting up their character, learning about each character, and like learning very in depth about each character and their background, because obviously we are like 220 some pages into this book, and I think finally we have hopefully gotten all of the information that we need about each character, and now we might like be diving into how their lives are all interconnected now, which we have gotten into a little bit, but I think this is like where things might start to get a little juicy. I think there might be some drama and just like some messiness to the story now that I think we know each character. I don't know, there's also like different parts of the book. I'm on part 2, so I kind of just want to like breeze through a little bit of the book and see when we get to part 3, because like maybe that's when like, you know, the meat of the story, so to say, will start. I don't know. It doesn't look like we're gonna get to part 3 anytime soon though. Yeah, we don't get to part 3 for like another 100 pages. Whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. So obviously very character driven, because that's literally all the book has been so far. Is there's like 4 main characters basically: Cal, and then his wife Becky, and then Margaret and her husband Felix. So let's start with Cal and Becky because that is where the book starts itself. So Cal has had kind of a rough upbringing. Both of his siblings passed away when he was young. His mom passed away when he was young, and he was basically raised alone by his father. But Cal was also born with a birth defect where one of his legs is 2 inches shorter than the other. So this has obviously like caused limitations with him throughout life, and this is taking place majority of the book like 1930s and 1940s, so right when World War II is starting, and Cal wants to like do something bigger with his life and have like a bigger meaning to his life. He really wants to enlist in the army, but because of this birth defect, this deformity of his leg, he is not able to. So instead, he stays in the small town where he grew up. He meets his wife Becky. They get married. I think it said when he was like 23. They have a child, but it is just like kind of, I don't know, just hard for him because like a lot of his peers and just people around him are obviously enlisting in the war or getting drafted into the war, and he just feels like he does not like live up to that, and he kind of wants to like live up to something bigger. And then his wife, Becky, this is where it gets kind of interesting, and I think where Cal's feelings, like again with not feeling like big enough, come in. Cal's wife, Becky, she has this like gift where she can kind of communicate with the dead. She holds these seances in their house, and like all these people in town come to her to talk to their dead loved ones, and like she literally has newspaper ads running. She has people from other states like noticing her and wanting to come see her, and that does kind of like hurt Cal a little bit. One, because he just does not believe in the whole seance stuff. He doesn't believe that his wife is actually talking to the dead. But two, because he like looks at her being so important to all these people and like helping them, but then like he feels like he's not really doing anything with his life. So it definitely causes some like strain on their relationship that way. But they have a kid that they gotta take care of, you know? Margaret, she was an orphan. Like her whole life, she was an orphan and never adopted. So that has been very, very hard for her to carry. But when she turned 18, she moved to the big city, being Columbus, Ohio? Columbus or Cleveland? I'm pretty sure it's Columbus. And she wants to basically find a husband. Well, she does that. She marries Felix. But then Felix enlists in the army, and he is away in the army for years. So we are just learning about each character and what they looked like growing up, how they got to where they are now, and I'm pretty sure, like, hopefully majority of the backstory now on each character, so we can start getting to more juicy details and more things to come, because up to this point, like, I just don't really care about these characters. Like, we've seen them all individually and, like, intertwined somewhat, but I have a feeling it should get a lot messier, which is kind of what I'm here for. I want that messy dynamic. So we'll see. Hopefully it gets better. Like, not... I don't want to say it's boring, but it is just, like... I feel like I'm reading a biography of these people's lives, and it's like, they're not real people, you know? I feel like I'm just reading a biography of fictional characters. You know, when you like look up a famous person on Wikipedia and it gives you like their whole life story, that's what I feel like I'm reading, but about fictional characters. So it's just like not really my jam, so hopefully things pick up now. Because then I think it will be my jam. Like, I get that we need to learn all the characters, but like over 200 pages worth, that just seems crazy to me. And like I said, we still have like half the book to go. So I hope the like 100 pages or so that it takes to get to part 3 isn't more like character explanation. I don't need that. I don't need that anymore. Okay, Patrick Ryan, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Like, enough with the background and the characters. Just give me their lives intertwined and how it kind of implodes. I'm gonna keep reading. My goal is to try and get to page 300 today, so I'm gonna keep reading for a while, and I don't know when I'll update you. Maybe if something crazy happens, which hopefully something crazy happens soon, or just like something. It doesn't even need to be that crazy. Just give me something. Maybe I'll see you then. Maybe I'll see you at the end of the book. I don't really know, but I will see you when I see you. All right, friends, time for a little reading update. This morning I finished Buckeye, and honestly, I feel like I don't have a ton more thoughts than I already gave you with the first reading update on this. I'm gonna go with a 3.5-star rating. It just continues to follow these four characters and how their lives do get intertwined over decades and decades. Like, we start in the 1930s, I'm pretty sure, and then the book ends like late 70s. No, I think early 80s actually. So following decades of their lives and how their lives are changing and what is going on in the world and why their lives are changing, and like a lot more goes into it than that, but that is like the heart of what we are doing in this book, is we are following those characters through decades and decades of their lives. And to be honest, I think the thing is, I just like do not really care for any of these characters. I don't think any of them are like great people by any means, which like maybe that makes it more realistic because people aren't going to be perfect. But it's like, if there's not a single like one of these four main characters that I like, it's like, yeah, you're all kind of bad people in like your own way. Like, you're all doing bad things, which again, like, is human nature. We're all gonna do bad things, and I do like how that is kind of like the message of the book. Like, we are all human, we're all going to make those mistakes, but like how those mistakes change us and help us grow, or if you know you don't learn and grow from your mistakes, that also says something about you. But it's important to make the mistakes and see how you basically respond to that mistake you made. So I do like that message, and obviously that is a very, very thought-provoking thing, which was what I was looking for in this book. But overall, I just don't think this book and this story is really going to stick with me in the long run. I could be totally wrong about that. Like, maybe I will just think about these characters and their story, but like in the moment I was like obviously enjoying it overall. But also sometimes I feel like the writing style was just not for me. It felt very, very clunky at times, and just like certain choices that the author made within the writing itself, I just personally do not like. So yeah, I definitely like that it was deeper. There's a lot of deep topics in this, but it's like ones that aren't great. One of the female characters that we're following, like, her story actually pissed me off so much. I just like could not get behind her, and I'm like, I literally don't want to read about you anymore. So I guess that kind of tells you where I am with this. It's also just like such a long book to just be like so slow. I don't know, does that make sense? Like, it's just so slow the entire time that it being even longer like makes it feel longer than it actually is. Like, this is, I think, 450-ish pages, but it felt like I was reading this for like a week because it was just so slow, such a slow crawl, which obviously it is a slower paced book spanning decades, but it just like could not hold my attention that well being that slow paced, I guess. So yeah, 3.5 stars. I probably won't talk about this much more. After I finished that, you saw that I went to the TBR jar and picked a book, and the book that we got is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I am so excited we got this book because this has been on my physical TBR for almost a year. I want to say like June or July would have been a year of this being on my physical TBR because my sister-in-law told me it was amazing, so I was like, okay, I gotta read it then. So I bought it and then proceeded to not read it, so I'm so happy that we got it for this video. This is like a mystery thriller, and you guys, I am about like halfway through. I don't know, I literally just got to part 2 of the book, and I feel like I'm flying through it, and this is another one that's like kind of long, and honestly, like, I don't know, it is more so one of those mystery thrillers that kind of reads like general fiction with like this whole mystery element to it, which is very, very different from other like mystery thrillers. Like Freida McFadden, she's one of my favorite thriller authors. This is night and day difference compared to Freida McFadden's writing style, and like I'm loving both of them. This has been a very, very popular book. Like, when I went to go onto Goodreads to mark it as reading, there was over 1 million reviews for it. Yeah, so you have probably already heard about this book. You probably already read it. I'm just getting around to it. What can I say? Basically, it starts out where these two female characters are out to dinner for their birthday, and they find out that they are birthday twins. They're both turning 45 years old. They were both born in the same hospital, and they live like a mile or so away from each other, but like they have never ever known each other. So one of the girls, Alex, she has a pretty successful podcast where she just like shares stories of other very successful women. And then Josie, she just has your more like typical housewife, I guess, role. She also has a part-time job, but like she is just who you would picture as a housewife, I guess. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, I'm a housewife, guys, okay? But, like, Alex is definitely a little bit more flashy. Meanwhile, Josie is definitely, like, more, not drab, but she's just not as flashy, I guess. But Josie and Alex, you know, they strike up conversation. They become acquaintances. And Josie suggests the idea to Alex that Alex do a podcast on her and like just your average woman, not like a super like business savvy woman, but just like your regular housewife. But she tells Alex like she has a juicy story to tell. Like she looks like she's just a regular housewife on the outside, but she has a dark past, some dark secrets, and she wants to spill the story to Alex on her podcast. And let me tell you, it is definitely crazy. Josie was right about that, about her having a crazy story. Yeah. But I am absolutely eating this up. Like, I am flying through it. And I've been busy today, but like, anytime I have had a moment to read, I have been reading this because I cannot put it down. Which is like a polar opposite of what Buckeye was, because with Buckeye, I feel like I was kind of forcing myself to pick it up and be like, okay, girl, you need to read this book. But for this one, I'm like, I literally don't even want to film this update for you. I want to keep reading this. I feel like that tells you it's going good. I'm very intrigued for what is all going to happen in part 2, because like part 1 already found out some super juicy stuff, like a lot of just honestly terrible things like we've already found out. So I'm so nervous, I guess, for what part 2 is going to reveal. I don't even know. I don't even know my feelings, you guys. Kind of disturbed. I am definitely disgusted by like some of the characters. But like I'm enjoying it. Like it's an entertaining read. So I don't know how much more reading time I'm gonna get for the night. My husband's almost done working out, so then we'll get ready for bed and probably, I don't know, do something. We'll either play a game or like watch something. So I'm not sure if I'll get around to reading this tonight, but like literally all I want to do is binge this. Like catch me finishing this tomorrow. Which would be crazy because this is like a little bit of a thicker book, like I said, but I really want to, and I regret not picking this up sooner. So I'll probably see you tomorrow. It is the next day. I did, in fact, end up finishing None of This Is True today. I had a really great time with this book. It was so hard to read in some moments just because, like, the things that were being said, like, in the podcast recordings were so just, like, vile, disgusting things. So I would probably recommend looking up trigger warnings to this book. There is mention of sexual assault. There is mention of grooming. I mean, there's like a lot of crime happening in this book, but I also feel like it's a thriller book. You know, you kind of go into mystery thriller books expecting heavier topics like that. So yeah, I did like binge the rest of this. I don't remember what time exactly I started this. It has been a little more than 24 hours, but I have been doing like so much stuff yesterday and today that this easily is a book that I feel like I could have picked up and read in one day. It's easy to read. It's definitely a little bit, I would say, more of like, maybe not advanced. Like advanced isn't the right word, but it's not just like super simple writing, but it's very, very easy to digest. It's written in a way that flows so well that it just like, again, it's so easy to read. And with a mystery thriller, that's very, very important because it needs to keep your attention the whole entire time. It needs to keep you on your toes, and that book definitely did it for me. Now, that being said, reading parts did I read today? I finished part 2, and then I went on to part 3, and then obviously the book ends on part 4. And I will say, once I got to part 3 of the book, I do feel like it slowed down for me a bit. Like all part 1 and 2 is just ramping up and ramping up and ramping up, and you're getting more and more of Josie's story, and Alex just being like, what is going on? What is this woman's story? Like, I am concerned. Like, I was also concerned as the reader. But then part 3 comes, and the whole story kind of shifts into something else, but like it does make sense why the shift happens, and then you get all these reveals and the plot twists like throughout part 3. But it definitely did just slow down for me a bit, and I feel like it did get a little bit repetitive, honestly, just like with the situation that Josie and Alex were in, and then like what Josie was all saying about her past and her story. Like it did start to feel very, very repetitive during part 3, which I think is maybe why it felt like it slowed down for me a bit there. And also, I think the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. Like it was still a really, really good book, but parts 3 and 4 were just like not my favorite. And the ending, I would have loved to have like a crazy twist, because I feel like the whole time you can kind of tell where the book is going and what's coming and like what the truth, so to say, is. Especially with the title being None of This Is True, like you can kind of see where it's going. Spice, what are you doing, babe? Spice is so close to knocking the camera over. Spice. She's literally like being my camera woman right now. Like she is. Okay. Anywho's, it's one of those books that does leave you like questioning things at the end. You're like, what did I just read? What is the truth? Like it definitely has you analyzing things like that. And there is just like no real clear-cut answer. It is definitely kind of open for interpretation. I think it definitely is leaning more one way than the other, but it is one of those books that you don't have a clear-cut answer at the end of it, and I never prefer books that way. With a mystery thriller, I want answers. I want to get down to business. I want to know the truth. But still a very, very good book. Definitely had me entertained. Definitely held my attention for the few days I was reading it. I'm gonna go with a 4-star rating on this. And that is where I'm going to end this reading vlog. Definitely enjoyed all of these books overall. I definitely would recommend them for different reasons, but definitely ended it with the best in my opinion. We were actually kind of gradual. Started with a 3-star, had a 3.5, ended with a 4-star. So yeah, hopefully you got some recommendations out of this. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. I post 2 videos every single week, so I will see you back in a few days with another video. Bye!